Welcome to People. I'm Micah Mater. Political theater taking the stage this week as the Republican Party presented its candidates for consideration in this year's presidential election. Former President Donald Trump and his new vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, officially accepting their nominations. Next month, the Democrats will have their turn, with many voters wondering if President Joe Biden will be the name at the top of the ticket. One thing is for sure, black voters are top of mind for both parties, as what was a slim margin between the two candidates begins to widen. 20 years ago, author and talk show host Tavis Smiley dropped his book, Covenant with Black America, to name the issues that many black voters say were their priorities. Next month, he will have an updated edition just in time for the DNC. He joins us now from his studio at KBLA 1580 in LA. Tavis, how are you?
I'm doing the best I can. Micah, how are you?
I think we're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
This is political theater at its best. I mean, every day something new is happening. We just finished the Republican convention and national convention, I should say. Anything surprise you about it?
Not really. I expected all along that J.D. Vance would be not just on the short list, but ultimately might be the choice, in part because he brings a pedigree, Yale Law School. He obviously is from Ohio. Donald Trump needs to run the table in the Midwest, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan. So I wasn't terribly surprised by that. So no real surprises.
It was either Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday night, they had a litany of black speakers. What was that for?
That was Monday night. It was the very first night of the convention.
Couldn't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday.
No, it was Monday. I recall that because I remember laughing on my syndicated program. I'm pleased to be heard on WVON there in Chicago. So we talked about this on Tuesday, actually, the day after it happened. But Monday night, this parade of black people, black folk I'd never heard of, quite frankly. But it was clear that Donald Trump was making a play for black voters. I think that the agenda of the GOP, when you read their platform, that platform, Micah, is antithetical, I believe, to the best interest of black people. But I love the fact that black folk are in play this time around, and Donald Trump is not going to cede African-American voters to the Democratic Party. So I love that we're being taken seriously, I think, by both parties. Too often, Democrats ignore African-American voters. Republicans flat out, Democrats take for granted, rather. Democrats take for granted black votes. Republicans outright ignore black votes. That's not the case this time around. And so for Donald Trump, who is choreographing his own convention, who did choreograph it this week, to decide that on night one, he wanted a parade of black people coming out. It was something we've never seen before. But again, I celebrate the fact that at least this time around, it appears that we're not being all out ignored, if that makes sense.
It's very important in a national election that black people get out and vote. And I think the presidential nominees know that, because it is the black vote that usually gets them over the top, right?
No question about it. I mean, Democrats clearly have been essentially a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democratic Party for many, many years back, as you well know. But this time around, there is some slippage. Every poll, every study, every survey suggests that at best, Joe Biden's numbers in black America are soft. And as we sit for this conversation, who knows whether or not he remains on the ticket. I'm anxious to come to Chicago. Can't wait to get back to my favorite city to cover the convention this summer. But who knows what that actually looks like as we sit for this conversation. But clearly, the Democratic Party has been aided and abetted in all of these years by the African-American vote. Because of us, we have oftentimes saved this country from itself. To be more exact, there is no Joe Biden as president, as you well know, if it's not for black voters, namely and specifically black women in South Carolina. It's black women, it's James Clyburn. Black folks save his campaign so that he becomes president. They run the table in South Carolina, then black folk, every place else lined up behind South Carolina, and Joe Biden becomes president. I say all the time, Micah, that black people did not just save Joe Biden's campaign. When they did so, they saved the democracy. If you believe that a second Donald Trump administration would have been or might still be an existential threat to the country, then black folk have to get the credit once again for saving this democracy from itself.
Tell me how Covenant with Black America is updated this edition.
It's a great question. Thank you. So there are new essays in this edition 20 years later. In some ways, the book is inspiring because there are issues on which we've made some progress. Somebody
like
once
what?
said there are
Where do we make progress?
We've made progress in the arena of technology. Clearly, there are too many black folk who are still consumers. Not enough of us yet as producers, but we've made some progress in the world of technology. We have made some progress, depending on where you look, slight progress on the economic front. But the bad news is that we still lag far behind in every single leading economic indicator category, but some progress when it comes to the high levels of black unemployment. So there are certain areas where we've made slight progress, but by and large, again, we still lag behind in every single leading economic indicator category. So 20 years after this historic book went to #1 on the New York Times list, we still have a lot more work to do, Micah.
With or without Joe Biden on the ticket, what would be the best solution or the best result of the election for Black America?
It's a very good question. And I'm not so sure I'm qualified to answer that question. What I do know is that I do not believe, Micah, that all of these Democratic Party elites, I do not believe the elites in the mainstream media, I do not believe that all of these persons, elected Democrats who've been calling for Joe Biden to step aside, are including black folk in their calculus. Here's the disconnect, as there always is. Black people are the most loyal base within the Democratic Party. The polls indicate, while there is slippage, that black people, by and large, are still rallying around Joe Biden. The CBC has rallied around him. He spoke at the NAACP earlier this week. They rallied around him. The polls indicate that black people still have, by and large, Joe Biden's back as the most loyal base in the Democratic Party. But you juxtapose that, you try to square that with all these, frankly, white elite Democratic voices who've been demanding that he stand down. I don't see how black voters and their interests are part of the calculus of those calling for him to stand down. Once again, a disconnect between black folk and the rest of the party.
Where do you think Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, fits in? Would she be a good candidate, you think?
I mean, there are a number of folks I think who would be good candidates. I do not believe personally, since you're asking me, that just because you're the vice president, you should automatically be fiated as the presumptive nominee. I think there ought to be some sort of contestation to see who the party, the base, thinks would be best at #1 and best at #2. I don't think you get that just because you're the vice president. Having said that, I also don't like people who are suggesting that she should be automatically bypassed for some other process. So I think that the Democratic Party has made a huge mistake. They've made many mistakes here. This situation is far worse than just one bad debate, and Democrats have to blame themselves for that, as I said on my program earlier this week. What troubles me most, though, Micah, is that we've heard from the party elites, we've heard from the elite in the media. We have not yet heard from the delegates. Remember them? The 1,400 folk that gave Joe Biden the nomination. When do we get to a process where the delegates have their say? And that's what's missing at this point in this process.
You mentioned that one of your favorite cities is going to be in the spotlight, Chicago, here for the DNC. Where do we play? What does Chicago play in the role here in the DNC? And we've got Corey Brooks, for instance, one of the reverends here in the city. He's a Republican, and he spoke at the RNC.
Yeah, I don't think that you can talk about Democratic politics without talking about Chicago. Certainly, everybody's been making comparisons between what may happen this summer in August in Chicago, what happened in Chicago in 1968. But Chicago is a Democratic stronghold. I believe it was a wise choice for the Democratic National Committee to choose the Windy City as the site of the convention. It is, as I said, my favorite American city. I grew up in Indiana, spent a lot of time in Chicago, great friends there, love any excuse to come back to Chicago. So you can't talk about Democratic politics. Jesse Jackson is a stalwart in the city of Chicago. So Chicago has
Barack Obama was from here.
Barack Obama, you got a Democratic governor, Mr. Pritzker. So I think Chicago is the right choice. It's the right place. We will see what happens this year versus 1968. But at the end of the day, if these delegates who gather in Chicago don't have their say, I think we're going to have a problem, Michael.
Well, let's hope it's a lot quieter than it was in 1968.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Tavis, thank you so much. We appreciate it. See you in about a month.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Michael.
You can listen to Tavis Smiley anywhere you are at WVON here in Chicago, on the KBLA 1580 app here in Chicago, or you can hear him, like I said, on WVON Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 in the evening.